Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
Good morning, First Unity Church of St. Louis. Welcome to everyone. Wherever you are, whenever you tune in, we are so pleased to have you with us. We know that you are bringing something unique and special to our spiritual community, and it is our prayer that you take away exactly what your soul needs from today's service. I affirm that although we are separated physically at this time, the perfect divine energy that God is not bound by time, space, or physicality. Whether you are watching for the first time or whether you are a long-time member of First Unity, we are one in spirit. So thanks to our videographer, Carol Bullock, today, along with our videography team leader, Kathy Boyd, for your amazing leadership. We also give great gratitude to our sound engineer, Jeremiah Bircher, who always utters those magic words, "I've got this, Jan." And thanks also to today's prayer chaplain, Hope Dodson, and to all the prayer chaplains who have supported everyone throughout these trying times. I just have a couple of brief announcements. First of all, our youth ed team is willing to provide an online option for our kids while we're closed. The idea is to record interactive lessons and engaging activities twice a month. We would like to ascertain whether there's an interest in this. So if you have children, grandchildren, special others who you know who might be interested, there's a youth ed survey on our website at unitystl.org. So let us know what you think. Also, mark your calendars for the Women's Interfaith Conference to be held via Zoom this year on April 8th from 10 to noon. The registration is free. Donations are gratefully accepted. And by the way, men are most welcome to attend. Finally, thank you to our woman of many talents, Anne Hartupee. Anne will do the final blessing today and share her musical talent. And today's message is entitled The Master Power. At this time, I'd like to welcome and invite our prayer chaplain, Hope Dodson, to read the daily word and lead us in prayer. Hope?
Good morning, I'm Hope Dodson. Today's daily word is now. I find my power in this very moment. There is power in this very moment. Yesterday is past and tomorrow is not yet here. There is only this moment, ripe with promise and potential, ready for me to live into it fully. Through my many divine gifts, everything I need to get started is within me. I need not wait for the perfect moment to arrive because there is no time more perfect than now and no place more perfect than here. Procrastination has no place in my life. I fritter away my time and energy when I find reasons not to get started, losing my zeal and focus and inviting frustration into my life. Today I claim the power of the present and say, this is the day I begin. Now is the time to begin, to serve, to forgive, to create, and to love. And from 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2, see, now is the acceptable time. See, now is the day of salvation. And let us take a moment to pray as we center ourselves in that Christ presence within, in this holy moment, knowing that every moment is a holy moment in the here and now. That is where our power lies. We are so grateful for this truth and for Spirit guiding us and helping us remember in each moment that that is where our power is. Thank you, God, that this is so now. Amen.
So today we continue our series on the 12 powers developed by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, also called gifts, faculties, abilities. The 12 are aspects of the divine inherent in each and every one of us. Developing them is part of our soul's purpose. And just as Jesus called his disciples and trained them in the way of spirit, so we can activate our powers and use them to transform our lives. Understanding them is the first step. Then, with sacred consciousness and purposeful practice, we can direct our 12 spiritual gifts to work together as an antidote to fear, worry, and anger, leading us to the pathway of freedom. Mr. Fillmore associated each divine power with one of the 12 disciples, and he also designated where each ability expresses in the physical body. Later, a color was discerned for each power, as you can see on the chart. In the decades since Charles Fillmore wrote his first book about the 12 powers, many others have been written, building on his foundation. In the past weeks, we have explored what Reverend Pearson, in his book, The 12 Freedoms, calls the manifesting dyad, the powers of faith and imagination. Faith is the power to form ideas and beliefs based on spiritual truth. And imagination is the power to visualize and bring those beliefs into manifestation. The color for faith is dark blue, and for imagination, it is light blue. Today we are discussing what Reverend Pearson calls the master power, the power of love. So, what are the first descriptors that pop into your head when you hear the word love? You might have trouble finding the right word or phrase because language often fails to express deep, complex concepts. And the word love has been called the most overused and least understood word in the English language. When our older grandson was about 5, every time someone would say something like, "I love that movie," or "I love chocolate pie," he would pipe up with, "Well, if you love it, are you going to marry it?" Eventually, we all learned to say things like, "I really love that book, Mitch, but I'm not going to marry it." Mitch actually helped the entire family appreciate the weight of the word love and how we so casually misuse and devalue it. Love is more than a preference, attraction, affection, or human adoration. It's more than romantic fascination and desire. A great American philosopher had an interesting definition of love. He wrote, "We are all a little weird, and life's a little weird, and when we find someone whose weirdness is compatible with ours, we join up with them in mutual weirdness and call it love." This from Theodore Seuss Geisel, and with all respect to him, surely there is more to love than that. If love is not just mutual weirdness or emotional reaction, then what is it really? In the words of Bengali poet and composer Rabindranath Tagore, love is the only reality, and it is not a mere sentiment. It is the ultimate truth that lies at the heart of creation. Love is a universal spiritual power, the master power. It is the ability to feel at one-ment. The power of love enables us to know our oneness with God and all of life. It binds the human family together and acts as a mighty magnet for our good. Charles Fillmore wrote, "Our power of love is the pure essence of being. God is love. Divine love is not personal. It loves for the sake of loving. Like the sun," and I would also add, like us, "its joy is the shining forth of its nature." And like all of our spiritual powers, love expresses through us only as we allow it. Love is our nature and our decision. Jesus was an amazing advocate for the power of love. Many of you are familiar with the story told in all 3 synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, of a Pharisee, an expert in Jewish law, who challenges Jesus, asking, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law?" Now remember, in addition to the 10 given to Moses on Mount Sinai, Jewish law required believers to follow 613 additional commandments every single day. So surely the lawyer thought that this was a question to make Jesus hesitate and falter. But Jesus doesn't skip a beat. He responds immediately. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first and greatest commandments, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets, meaning all the laws of the Hebrew Bible, hang on these 2 commandments. And then Jesus concludes, there is no other commandment greater than these. So Reverend Pearson explains, in our lives, the energy of the love faculty expresses based on how we think about God, our neighbor, and ourselves. It begins with our love for God, as in it is a sense of oneness that allows us to feel one with everybody and everything. It is through loving God that we see God in all. To love God is to see our neighbor in our neighbor. To love God is to see God in our neighbor, who is not just the person next door. It is the Samaritan, the outcast, the person considered less than. It is everyone in our path and those we will never meet all over the world. And what about loving ourselves? Do we see ourselves as worthy, individualized expressions of God, endowed with all the powers of the Christ? As Howard Caesar writes in his book, 1 + 1 is 1, I love that title, he writes, "What you are is a changeless, eternal, spiritual being with all its inherent divine qualities. Love is your true nature, regardless of how removed you might be from expressing it. You cannot argue with the truth that God created you and put the spirit of perfection, wholeness, light, and divinity within you. What you are is the light and love of God that lives within. Your soul longs to be one with the light you were created to be." And so it's only as we connect with the love within that we really and truly are able to love others. And there really are no human words to describe the full meaning of this master power. But have you looked into the face of a loved one or a pet when they are looking at you with such love that you found yourself moved to tears? Despite the fact that I wear a sweatshirt sometimes reading, "Let It Snow Somewhere Else," this week I looked outside at the earth blanketed in the softness of the new fallen snow, and I felt just a sense of serenity. Pearson says moments like these come from a deep sense of knowing our oneness at the indescribable depth of being one in God. Love is the energy that establishes oneness and harmony throughout the entire universe. The famous lion tamer Clyde Beatty said that anyone could walk through the jungle and never be attacked by an animal if only that person had love in his or her heart. Reverend Pearson describes a video documentation about two men who cared for a lion cub until it was fully grown and then released it back to the wild. 2 years later, the men returned and the lion came bouncing out of the jungle, put his giant paws on their shoulders and licked their faces. And the lion's mate stood by and peacefully watched, an example of love with all of life. John is the disciple who represents love. All through the Gospels, he is at Jesus' side and is described as the disciple whom Jesus loved. John is the first to recognize that shadowy figure walking on the Sea of Galilee as Jesus, and he proclaims, "It is the Lord," meaning it is the I am. And John is believed to be the only disciple, the only one of the 12, who stayed with Jesus during his crucifixion. He is the one Jesus entrusts with the care of his mother Mary after his ascension. The color for love is pink, and the body location is at the back of the heart, and modern authors add the entire circulatory system. When we think about the heart, we know that it is a muscular pump about the size of our fist that is always beating, pumping blood continually and nourishing the rest of the body, just as love nourishes our souls and our lives. Reverend Pearson says, "The heart has a love relationship and is one with every cell of the body." Researchers tell us that in the fetus, the heart appears before the brain even begins to develop. This could be an indication for us to allow our heart, not our head, to rule our thoughts and actions. We'll talk more about that next week. Balance may be called for, but we are intended to start from the heart. Throughout the ages, metaphysicians and spiritual leaders have recognized love as powerful energy. Now science is proving this to be true. Since 1991, scientists from the HeartMath Institute have researched the electromagnetic fields associated with the heart. Their studies have revealed what they call heart intelligence, defined as the flow of higher awareness, wisdom, and intuition that we experience when the mind and emotions are brought into synchronistic alignment with the heart. The intelligence, they say, brings the power of love from the universal source into our life's interactions in practical ways, showing us a path to fulfillment and freedom. Heart intelligence links the physical heart to the spiritual heart. HeartMath research also proves that the heart emits a measurable, scientifically measurable energy field extending out beyond the body, and any person or animal who experiences this field of energy is affected by it. This means that we communicate via our hearts. Though we may not be aware of it, our energy fields are constantly influencing our human and animal interactions. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Thoughts and emotions affect the field. And say it again. Thoughts and emotions affect the field. Negative thoughts, like fear and hate, produce smaller magnetic fields than heart-based feelings of love, caring, compassion, and forgiveness. Now, currently, the instruments that do the measuring can only measure the high vibrations extending about 4 feet out, but it's believed that that limitation is in the instrument, not in the energy. And who knows really how far it actually goes. The heart is the center where we connect to God's love. It is the center of conscious communion with divine energy. In the heart, we know our oneness. Heart wisdom looks past appearances. In the heart, greater truths are revealed. In the heart, we are capable of unconditional acceptance and the intuitive knowing that all things work together for good. Charles Fillmore wrote, "Love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that it is all good, and that by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things." This is illustrated beautifully in a classic tale from India that Reverend Linda Martella Whitsitt includes in her book, Divine Audacity. It seems, as the story goes, that there was a king who had a loyal advisor with the most unknowing habit of responding to every single life event with the words, "That is good." Things reach a critical point when the advisor utters this phrase immediately after the king loses his toe in a hunting accident. This is the last straw for the king, and he fires the advisor immediately. Several months later, the king is captured by local tribesmen who plan to use him in a sacrificial ceremony. However, discovering the missing toe, they decide the king is unfit, so they let him go. As soon as the king gets back to the palace, he reinstates the advisor and says to him, "You were right. It is good that I lost my toe. It saved my life. But how could you say it was good when I fired you?" The advisor answered, "Your Highness, I cannot see into the future, but I have learned to trust that some good comes from every event. Had you not fired me, I would have been by your side at the time of capture. And since I do have all of my fingers and toes, I would have been the one sacrificed." So that's a lovely little story, but in our human skins, it can be much easier said than done to find the good in everyone and everything. Has anyone besides me noticed that? Last week, I made a quick dash into Walgreens to pick up a prescription and a few other things. Even before I reached the pharmacy, I heard this loud, angry voice yelling and screaming. And as I approached the counter, a huge man, red-faced and unmasked, was literally raging at the young pharmacist, screaming that no one could take his rights away, that the virus was a hoax perpetrated by the government, and forcing us to wear masks was the first stage of a plot to take away our rights. I mean, honestly, I thought he was going to physically jump over the counter and grab the pharmacist. That's how angry he seemed. I have never in my entire life observed anyone so out of control, especially in a public place. Now, I would love to stand here today and tell you that I remembered all my spiritual principles immediately and began sending love energy to this man. But the truth is, at that moment, I just couldn't quite manage that. The best I could do was to send love to the young pharmacist, who was the brunt of the man's rage. And after I safely got back to my car, I remembered an axiom that I turned to again and again in the days that I taught children. In fact, I kept this on a little laminated card attached to my planner, and every year I would move it. It was, remember, those who seem the most lovable need your love the most. People do not always show us their best selves. So in the days that followed this incident, I often thought about the man, wondering what in his life made him so angry and disenfranchised. Eventually, I was able to use my power of imagination to see him enfolded in divine love. As Reverend Linda writes, even though our human tendency is to focus on the bad, the worse, the ugly, even in the midst of horrific human behavior, our spiritual nature can find ways to see it rightly and restore harmony. When your car collides with another on the road, no matter how inconvenient it is, you don't pull away to smash into the other car again and again. And if you lose your keys, you don't get mad at them for abandoning you. Instead, you look for them or you find your spare set. Reverend Linda says, the harmonizing power of love within us is our capacity for harmonious thoughts, words, and actions, no matter what is happening in the outer. So maybe other cultures do have a more precise language for the power of love, but no matter what we call it, the power is the same. Love is the master power that brings the realization that we are all one with God, one with all life, one with all humankind. Albert Einstein wrote, "Our separation from each other is an optical illusion of consciousness." We are on this earth to awaken to the divine essence that we are and to the infinite possibilities of love in expression. And we are here to help others do the same. So won't you join me this week with the intention to work in the days ahead to activate the master power of love, to remember that love pulls us together and creates peace, prosperity, and ever-unfolding good for ourselves and the entire world. And so it is.
There's a holy hush around us as God's glory fills the place. I've touched the hem of His garment. I can almost see His face, and my heart is overflowing with the fullness of that I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and His grace. I can feel the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
So now I invite you to close your outer eyes if you have not already done so. Relax in your seats. Take a deep, healing breath and hold it for a few seconds. And as you exhale, just gently, slowly let go. Move beyond any life circumstance that has caused you fear, worry, or stress. Just release it all and become fully present to this now sacred moment. As you continue to breathe, know that every breath, in every breath, with every breath, you are turning inward, moving more deeply into the infinite presence, that inner sanctuary of your soul, where you experience divine love and peace. Know the truth. God is love. Pure love is your divine inheritance. You are created in the image and likeness of divine love. Love is not something you seek. It is what you are, what you were created to be. Know that the ultimate activity of love is the spiritual oneness that permeates everything in the universe. Know that your heart center is filled with the pure love of God. You were created in God's love and goodness, and you are on this earth to be the light of the world. You live from the truth that all people are sacred, including yourself. Your life and the lives of others are all an integrated part of the one life and the one mind. So in this consciousness today, I invite you to take that 18-inch journey from your head, where you analyze, question, debate, to your heart center. You may feel a warmth in the heart as you call upon your master power of love, the mighty magnet enough to heal your body, your relationships, and the world. If there is anything unlike love in your consciousness, prepare to release it now. Draw upon the wisdom of the heart to know that divine love heals all and brings harmony. Affirm, I am a radiating center of pure love, ready to attract my good. I am a radiating center of pure love, ready to attract my good. Experience this now for a few moments in the silence. And now we come together in spiritual consciousness, knowing that we were created to be God's love on this earth, to live in peace and harmony, to see beyond any negative appearances, and to behold the Christ in all others. We affirm that love is our essence, and we are enlivened by this spiritual truth. We open our hearts and release the love within. And for this greatest gift of love, the master power, we are so grateful. In the name and through the power of the Christ, we say, Amen.
Je t'aime, ti amo, I tibie lublu, ani oivet othka. I love you. The sounds are all as different as the lands from which they came. And though our words are all unique, our hearts are still the same. Love in any language, straight from the heart, pulls us all together, never apart. And when we learn to speak it, all the world will hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here. We teach the young our differences, yet look how we're the same. We love to laugh, we dream our dreams, we know the sting of pain. From Leningrad to Lexington, the farmer loves his land. And daddies all get misty-eyed when they give their daughters hand. Maybe when we realize how much there is to share, we'll find too much in common to pretend it isn't there. Love in any language, straight from the heart, pulls us all together, never apart. And when we learn to speak it, all the world will hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here. Though the rhetoric of governments may keep us worlds apart, there's no misinterpreting the language of the heart. Love in any language, straight from the heart, pulls us all together, never apart. And when we learn to speak it, all the world will hear. Love in any language, fluently spoken here. Love in any language, fluently spoken here. Love in any language, fluently spoken here.
As we end our service today, let's pause and give thanks for the many blessings we have received. Your love offerings are necessary for the ongoing work of our ministry and deeply appreciated, especially at this time. Even though we're not open, our expenses remain fixed. We also greatly appreciate all of your notes of encouragement and prayers. We are here for you as well, so please contact us if you are in need of prayer or spiritual support. Whether you're a regular attendee of First Unity Church of St. Louis or joining us for the first time today, we know and affirm that we are one with divine source and one another. So please join me now in blessing our many gifts. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. We look forward to seeing you next week. We appreciate everyone who's been following us on Facebook, liking and sharing our posts. In oneness, please know we are holding each of you in the sacred space of love, light, and peace. To close today's service, I'd like to share with you a piano arrangement by Carol Tornquist of Let There Be Peace on Earth.